Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Racham Kodash. I want to say double honors to our apostles, who are elders, who rule well. I want to say blessed salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring true sincerity. Yeah, man. The brother Yatazat from D-Town, Dallas, sent us a video, and that's a challenge as a response. So for me, it's going to be a quick one, just looking at the whole aspect and my personal journey with my talents and my gifts, and how I produce and try to produce, again, when you say call halal to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, double honors to our apostles who are elders, and blessed salutations to you brothers that teach and enduring true sincerity. Call law Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kodash, Barakatah. So for me, as a personal gift, I believe, just the spirit. This is something that, I prayed for a while ago, is that as far as interpreting spirits, and showing initiative, you know what I'm saying? Because the scriptures say, as far as your gifts, some got the gift of prophecy, some got the gift of teaching, and such on and so forth. But it says covet the gift of prophecy. And some have more than others, type of deal. So, I believe I definitely got the gift of teaching and interpreting spirits, and, interpreting dreams also. I really don't, really deal with the interpreting dreams too much, because, that's a real, finicky subject, you know what I'm saying? As far as something coming from Satan, something coming from the Most High. I like to just stick with the scriptures, you know what I'm saying? And, what the Spirit puts on me. But the aspect I want to definitely deal with is my personal element, as far as, speaking, of course, is one of the gifts that I have, but at the same time, it's also that gift of utilizing it. I got the ability to say things and say, what I want to say, whether it's, a negative for me or a positive, and being outspoken, to a respectable amount, but as the scriptures say, be, speaking little, but understanding much, you know what I'm saying? As far as me speaking less and hearing more, and also condensing my my talk, you know what I'm saying? Because you can overuse words, you can underuse words, and I observe, different men within the ministry, such as Apostle Gabar, and I really admire his fluidity and speak, even saying like and so, and those little words in there. I try to get rid of those words as much as possible, but it comes through knowing what I'm talking about and being more fluent. So those type of things, as far as speaking, because you see I'm doing it now because I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? But if I write it down, or I know exactly what I want to say, I do it less, is what I notice about. So as far as you got your talents, for me, this brings in my teaching gift, I believe, because as a coach, I've been in teaching elements all my life through the Spirit. I believe it's through the Spirit. I've been in the band, section leader, had to sit, 12 niggas down, you know what I'm saying? And then when I went to college, I was crab section, and then I, went up to co-section when I was in college, and that went from 12 niggas to, 22 grown niggas that aren't grown. It's just in transition of thinking you're grown, right? And, coming into the ministry also, I always had that quality about me, so, and I say that to say that, throughout my experience, there's things to teaching that is more than just having information and telling someone. Because, you got boxers or you have athletes, basketball players, football players. You have a lot of people that have tremendous skill, but they're horrible coaches. On a personal level, I'm watching boxing videos right now of Mayweather teaching, and I'm highly intrigued because I wanna know if he can teach as good as he boxes and if it translates. Because you got like Virgil Hunters, you got the Mayweathers, his Roger Mayweather and Mayweather Senior. Roger Mayweather passed away, of course. These people are great teachers of the art. And one thing I want to digress. So basically, the thing I learned about teaching is that it's not just conveying information, it's conveying something that's acceptable to eat, right? Because if I'm a chef and I know a person needs nutrients, I can just give them vitamin C, this, and it's bland and it's not good. But the key, the trick to what I've learned to teaching is that, you make it presentable, you make it edible, you make it something it's like honey. Like the scripture said, honey is sweet to the tongue, but sweet to the mouth, but when it hits the body, gets bitter. The type of deal, you go through them trial and errors. It's like you eat it, and it's like, okay, it tastes good, but the first thing is to get you to eat it. You know what I'm saying? And from what I learned from cooking is basically you got to smell it, you got to see it, and then you eat it. So if the smell is off, that's gonna, and that's why you go to movie theater, they pump the smell of popcorn into the facility. That's why when you go up to it, they put it in a glass door so you can see it. And then when you taste it, it reflects the taste of where it's at. But at that point, if you taste it and it don't reciprocate the look and the smell and the look, it don't matter at that point. You already got it. You got it and you bought it. So teaching, Akim within my camp, I strive to convey a message to where they understand what I'm saying when I say it, instead of just telling somebody something. Sometimes you can tell them and wait for them to get it. Just tell them straight away. But sometimes you gotta break it down for them, because that's why we're leaders. That's why we're here. From my standpoint, is that to help a person understand the scriptures, as the scriptures say. Because the scriptures, if it didn't need to be broken down, then why are we here? So from a teaching standpoint, a thing that I've learned is being able to convey something to somebody that they can, that it appeases their eyes, the smell, the senses, not like in that aspect, to where I'm speaking clearly, I'm using the proper words, and I'm relatable, like Paul said, unto the Jews I became a Jew, unto those not under the law, though I'm subject unto the law, but I come to them not under the law, so I might gain them more. That's the whole goal to this situation. So with that being said, teaching is for me, it's being relatable. I teach boxers, and the thing about it is, what I learned from teaching boxers, that people have different abilities. People have different gifts. People have different mindsets, and I had to learn how to convey these mindsets on how to get them to do what I wanted them to do. Because I could sit there and say, turn your hip, but some people just think turning their hip is turning their shoulder. But, I've learned, like, hey, if you're going to throw a cross, imagine yourself throwing a baseball, but throwing it directly at somebody. And when you practice in the mirror, you should be able to see your back. So those little tidbits get them to do what I want them to do and get the proper form. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell them, balance. If your balance feels off, fix your balance with your footwork. And that way, it don't take much to get them. Once you teach like that, that person doesn't have to keep coming back to you for information for the same thing. You don't have to keep telling them, like, you're not, this guru that people need you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about, for me teaching, in my opinion, if you teach somebody and you just tell them how to do something but not giving them the understanding, they're going to keep needing you. And that to me is a selfish mindset, because you should want to teach somebody to have them teach somebody else, and have them teach somebody else, and for them to grow and not come back to you for the same thing. But that's, I could be wrong, but that's just a minute opinion of myself towards that mentality. I could be negative towards it, but it's like if I am. Now, when you're talking about gifts, that's our gifts, and we got to work to excel in our gifts. So that means I'm studying people that are good at teaching. I'm listening to people that are good at conveying messages. I listen to everybody, but I specifically am attentive to the positive and the negative of it. Someone that can't teach and someone that can teach, because you can learn from someone that can't teach, as long as you're structured in the mind. As our old saying goes, you can learn from everybody. I told myself, even a crackhead. And the person used to ask me, why you say that? Because a crackhead will tell you why you shouldn't be on crack. You can look at him and say, okay, I'm not, So basically, being observant, and as the scriptures say, when you come to serve the Lord, put forth all your strength. And that goes to where your gifts and your talents, and flipping your talents. How do you flip your talents? You invest in it. You spend time in it. You realize it. You got to have confidence in your talent. You got to have confidence in who you are and why you're here. As a brother, we jokingly say, inside joke, and we always laugh. He says, what do you do that's good? You know what I'm saying? And do you know why you're here? Why you're here in the camp? What as an able body, what are you able to present? Are you, you can't just be a bump on the log, go along to get along type of guy. I speak to a brother, telling me, like, you have gifts, and the thing about gifts is it's going to be trial and error. You're not going to be, a gift is a talent. It's a natural ability. And I want to say this as a segue, a little pinch of information. One of those old sayings is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So somebody like Floyd Mayweather, somebody that was talented with reflexes and quickness, but the boxing IQ was taught. And it was taught based because he had a mental fortitude, not only for the love of boxing, but for him to, become Money Mayweather and get all this money. He had a goal and he was determined toward that goal. Our goal is the other treasure, treasures that's up in heaven. So if you're determined and you're serious enough, in my opinion of myself, if I'm not doing things to flip my talent and sitting there and learning, and growing my talent, that shows that I'm not that focused on getting into heaven, and something is a distraction, and I need to get rid of it and find out, what's going on and why I'm not producing. So, as far as teaching, speaking, I believe those are my talents. And the other aspect is, I invest a lot of time in the talent that I'm good at. As I said earlier, investing time into the pros and negatives of a talent, somebody that don't know how to talk, and people that do know how to talk. I observe. I'm very observant to it, and I pay attention, even listening and humbling yourselves. That's another thing about growing your talent, is something that you're proud of, and you have a, because we got worldly talents, of course, I do music, I play in the band, and music and just in general, when you're critiqued in something that you love and you have a passion for, it oftentimes rubs you the wrong way, but if someone challenges you, you're always ready to show and prove, you know what I'm saying? And that could be a gift and that can be a curse. So you should have a pride in your gift and in your talent, but you should never be arrogant or hard-headed or destructive with your talent. you know, to the point that, you know, when I was in band in high school, you know, if we, you know, we being from New Orleans, we caught you walking up the street with the same horn that we got, I'm putting my horn up and I'm sending something your way, and we'll sit there on one end of the block and you on the other end, and we'll send it that way. It was respectable. But when it comes to the point that somebody telling you, you know, your slurs aren't good, your reading isn't, you know, you need to work on your reading, and then you be like, oh, I know what I'm doing, and you're just offended at somebody critiquing your passion, and you're not able to grow from it. That's where it's negative. So you be proud of your talent, but always look to grow and always look to produce. So within this ministry, is a lot of things we have passion for, and people, you know, from me, my point of view, you get so deep in this truth, and you get that love for it, but when somebody say that you're wrong, and it's like dictating that you're not who like the brother said in the video, that you're overextending yourself, you know, pertaining to the scripture in Sirach, you know, search not out the things that are too hard for thee. Basically, you'll sit in, and then the scripture tells you in the book of Matthew that people sit in that seat that's not for them. You know what I'm saying? You sit in you stand in that court, in that, you know, where you was invited, and then let the high men accept you into a fold. You know, I've never asked to be a camp leader. Outside of me, you know, David never asked to be David. Saul never asked to be Saul. The apostles never asked to be apostles. Like they always say, the term elders were put on them. The term GMS was put on them. They just put forth their talent to the most maximum amount. And so that's what gets you there. And some people covet that, and then they try to create titles and create seats for themselves. So when whatever your talent is, that's supposed to be a personal passion, not to show off to somebody or to show somebody like, look what I can do, or I'm good as you. No, this is supposed to be something that brings joy to you as far as a talent. If you know, for me, if I enjoy teaching, I observe and look at why I don't do this and why I'm not able to have this person produce. You know what I'm saying? And I got to figure it out, because it's like that passion is going to keep you attentive, and it's going to bother you to the point that you're going to be like, nah, this person has to, you know, anybody can be taught. You know, as my boxing coach told me, people can be taught power. Never, I was told that you can't teach power, but you can. You know, you can teach everything, or you can, whatever passion you have, you can do it, as long as the Lord is working with you. Of course, that's first and foremost. But there's ways. Okay. Now, lastly, and like a PS to the lesson I'm doing, or the response, is that, you know, the other aspects, striving for the masteries, knowing where you're weak at, and working towards that. You know, because in order to be a teacher, you can, you know, just speaking from my personal standpoint, in order to be a teacher, you got to be able to receive information. But being a teacher, you often get out of the aspects of being taught, because you're teaching all the time. And when somebody's teaching you, you get in disregard. You're not clear about, you know, and you can block it at times when somebody's teaching you. So unless you're looking towards being taught a certain way. Case in point, when I believe I always had this gift. I've been working on flipping that talent, but then it came to a point where I told my coach I wanted to be a coach, and from that day, I was, you know, hip to hip with him, and from that day, I was told I was wrong all day long, even when I thought I was right. You know, and that was the road that I had to go through, of strive for the master. I had to work on being humble and charitable, and being relatable. You know what I'm saying? Having virtue, and these things added on to it. But, you know, outside of that, you got other gifts, as far as, you know, the gift of prophecy. You know, the gift of faith. Because faith, we all got a gift, but certain brothers have more than others. Certain brothers have more gifts than others. Certain brothers excel further in their gifts. And I want to say this: you should not have a carnal jealousy towards other people's gifts, but a godly jealousy. And that godly jealousy is basically they're influencing you to say, oh, I need to push to do that. So what I mean by that is, if I'm on a court with basketball players and I've been doing, I've been working on my dunks, and I got to the point I could just do a one-hand dunk, and then I see somebody do a windmill. Godly jealousy is like, oh, okay, that's what we doing, and you go and you work, and you're not doing it because you don't like the person or you jealous of them. You're doing it because they showed you something that you could do more. They influenced you, to be better, and that's what the apostles do. The apostles are here. It's like, I didn't even know that you can go into these words like this. You know what I'm saying? Outside of GMS, nobody does it. So nobody can say within GMS that they just came in looking up words. You know what I'm saying? Like etymology and doing things. Some brothers may have, but the apostles set the standards for a lot of spiritual aspects. And again, it's the godly jealousy, I'd like to clarify, is basically, it's a godly influence. They set a standard to say, this is what you can do here. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is not a teach to compete. This is not like, because you might not be able to perform at that level, but you strive, you fight for it. And knowing yourself, you'll know, you're like, okay, I'm reaching a limit here. You know what I'm saying? Like again, the scripture says, search not out the things that are too hard for thee. You know that, you don't know, you haven't gone over all the books, so you shouldn't be going into, deep prophecies, because the apostles did it. Like, don't be a mockingbird. That they set a standard. And if you're godly about it, and if you're striving lawfully about these masteries, you're going to take the proper protocol. Because as the scriptures say, if you're a teacher, you're in need of milk. That basically, if you're going to excel at a level, you got to kind of backtrack and then work your way slowly and understand your craft. If you go to school for anything, I go to school to be a chef, I'm going to have to go to square one and learn learn about heat, learn about degrees. I already know about heat and degrees, but you got to learn about it again. Celsius, Fahrenheit, blah, blah, this, that, and this, and you got to really be attentive and not be like, oh, I already know this, and be ignorant to it, because you never grow. So, you know what I'm saying? There's brothers out here that set a standard of things that influences you. Just like I said, Apostle Gabar influences me, with speaking. Apostle Ramla influenced me with humility as far as being humble. Apostle Ricard influenced me as being, being assertive about the spirit. When the spirit speak, that's what it's saying, and I got belief in it. Apostle Tahar influenced me about the knowledge and the intensity and the love for the scriptures, as well as all the apostles. They have these gifts, but, of course, certain things stick out to me toward these apostles. Not saying that they don't have it. It's just saying these are things that I see when I listen to the lessons and I watch and I learn from them. So, you strive lawfully as far as things that you're weak at, because you don't want to be a one-trick pony. We got our talents. You want to flip your talents, but you can invest in other areas that you're not good at. You don't want to be a Ronda Rousey where you're a black belt at judo and you got no boxing. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be a boxer that can, fight on the outside but can't fight on the inside, right? So with that being said, it's like, that's striving for the masteries, getting those gifts. Be not ignorant over any small matter type of deal, and again, when you're working on something, you're going to have to break it down and rebuild it a lot. You're going to have to be wrong about it a lot. You're going to have to, go over trials and errors. You're going to get frustrated, but you should always want to grow in this talent and utilize it within the ministry. So, overall, spiritually, I believe, the main thing is teaching, being able to convey something to somebody and they understand it. When I'm on the highways, my goal when I'm prophesying, teaching, or, giving understanding to something is that they leave and say I'm right, whether they believe I'm right, whether they believe or not. You know, if you understand. So basically, if an Edomite comes up to me saying, you know, what are you guys talking about? And, you know, I explain it and they believe that they're invited too. That's the subject matter. And then we go over it so much, then they like, if you N-word, you know what I'm saying? And they walk off like, man, he got a point. Like, you know, I might as well just give up and go be an atheist or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he explained it. Or I got to pray that I'm an Israelite, you know, or I got to just stay away from this. Either or, like the scriptures say, that we speak the truth and brings everlasting life or condemnation. But I'm just speaking the same thing. So I don't deviate or twist the word. I'm just breaking. I want to be so efficient at breaking it down. I want to argue with you back and forth to where you can pull something and say, well, you're not in the truth because you get mad or you do this or you do that. Nah, I want to get it to the point that you understand that what I said, I'm not lying. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you the truth and I'm conveying it directly and correctly. So yeah, that's just, you know, I just wanted to share that, you know what I'm saying, in a response video to the brother. So, hey, call law, y'all bashim out, shah bashim kalkadash barakatah, wa barakathum to you, Akim, double honest apostles, who are elders who rule well. I want to say blessed salutations to you brothers out there teaching, enduring, truth, sincerity. Just sharing my thoughts. I know it's in transit, so I wasn't able to, like, you know, really get in there. You know, I'm really out and about a lot, you know, as of recent. So, Salakia for the lack of time invested, you know, but it's all through the spirit. The spirit speaketh expressively. So hopefully brothers were edified, and I pray that, you know, brothers continue to grow. Hey, shalom.